What's up guys, my name is Aaron Jackson. Welcome back to yet another video. Glad you could stop by. And I'm sure like a lot of you guys that invest in the Metamaterials, you definitely would have watched the AWE USA event that took place, I want to say last week. Now for those of you guys that don't know what it is, AWE USA is basically an event where a lot of companies come together and they showcase a lot of augmented reality related technology and science behind the technology. It's especially important this year because not that long ago, Facebook revealed a huge corporation change where they changed their name from Facebook to Meta being the metaverse. And they announced a lot of cool different types of things that they're trying to do revolving primarily around what we call the metaverse, and the primary technology behind it is augmented reality. Now I bring up Metamaterials because one of the companies that had their own panel and their own showcasing during the AWE Expo was Metamaterials. And Jonathan Waldron, who is the CTO of Metamaterials, spoke on a panel and represented the company in talking about the different types of technology that Metamaterials has to offer in regards to the metaverse. I found it very enlightening. There's actually, as a matter of fact, 3 different points that I really resonated with. And I really feel like if you are a long-term investor into this company like I am, then these points will be of ridiculous importance to you, hopefully. So let's talk about those if you don't mind. So the first thing that I took away from his entire speech was that Metamaterials is the science behind the metaverse. As I've said in recent videos, the metaverse is going to be this cool thing that we're all going to experience in the future, this life-changing thing, where at the end of the day, people from around the world can be together without necessarily being in the same room or the same city or even state or even country. And a lot of that surrounds technology that can implement AR or augmented reality. That's required to allow a lot of the things that Facebook or now Meta showcase on their videos to happen. And there's a lot of science behind that technology that's required to make that technology happen and happen for a good period of time. And I've said before that I personally think Metamaterials is the sole company, at least the sole company you can invest into that professionalizes in that science. And during the panel, Jonathan Waldron introduced the technology that Metamaterials has called the ARFusion. Now Metamaterials linked up with another company called Covestro back in late 2020 to where they together created what we call the ARFusion. And the ARFusion is essentially these lenses that can create holographic films by taking in sunlight and being able to reflect it in such a way to where the output that someone using those lenses can see is some type of image, whatever image needs to be depicted. And again, there's a lot of science that goes behind it that's over my head, but the essential fact that Metamaterials is getting with companies like Covestro is something that's really important. And if it's something that they can master from actually establishing it to manufacturing it, this could definitely be something really big for the long term for Metamaterials and their involvement in AR and the metaverse. Now, if you go on Metamaterials websites and you look at some of the things that they have, some of the solutions that they have, one of the categories is AR or augmented reality. And one of the main things they're trying to do with that is create prescription glasses. Obviously something they would use the ARFusion lenses or ARFusion technology for. But there's a lot of problems that this is involved in when it comes to AR, even though I think there's a lot of solutions that Metamaterials has. And that's the second point that I took from this panel. So Jonathan Waldron listed a lot of different problems that he feels like AR is going to have when it comes to wearables, but there are 3 that I was actually really resonating with, especially when considering what Metamaterials has to offer to solve those problems. The first issue was the increased demand for lenses with prescription optics capabilities. The second issue that I took away was just the general comfort of wearing glasses that do all of these AR technical things. And the third thing was battery life. 3 different important things, especially the battery life, because you want to be able to use something that's not only high tech, but that will last for a long period of time. But luckily in this panel, he also listed the solutions that Metamaterials has to offer to solve those very important problems. So going back in that order, the first solution was the increased demand on lenses optics capability. And the one solution that they have is the use of their roll-to-roll lithography. Now, if you watch my channel, I've mentioned roll-to-roll lithography a few times, but the most recent time I mentioned it is when I talked about Metamaterials' acquisition with Nanotech. One of the most important reasons why Metamaterial acquired a company like Nanotech is because roll-to-roll lithography is something that Nanotech also has. not only has, but they have research and developers and they have manufacturers that have perfected that art of manufacturing to the point where they're producing millions of square feet per year of film for their specific applications. And I knew that that was going to help Metamaterials in their ultimate growth. And it seems like the next big pedestal to overcome is their involvement in the metaverse. So we have this issue that involves the increased demand of prescription lenses with these optics capabilities. You're going to have to solve it by increasing the amount that you can manufacture. Not only is that more likely with Metamaterials after their acquisition with nanotech, but being able to do that yet again attracts them to other companies that may be involved in augmented reality, having the technology behind it. It just needs the science behind it, but it can make their products a lot cheaper. I really think that's one thing that a lot of people may be nervous about when it comes with new technology that's supposed to be the small puzzle piece of this huge metaverse, it being a little bit more expensive. So hopefully being able to manufacture more after it gets a little bit easier makes it more cost effective. So the second problem again was ensuring a level of comfort. Now I didn't necessarily mean the physical comfort of putting glasses on, that just depends on the company that's actually making the frames themselves. I meant actually seeing through them. It's already important to be comfortable when you get onto prescription lenses, whether you're using it just for a computer like I do, or you're using it because you're nearsighted or you're farsighted. But adding to the mix holographic imaging to where it could help you in your everyday life, especially if you're going to be wearing them for a long period of time, there's got to be a lot of comfort with that. And their solution is pretty simple. They have lenses that have color correcting functions, such things probably like blue filters, which is something that a lot of us have in our own current lenses, especially when we're looking at bright things like computers. They also have a lens with dimming features to where if you're inside, the lens will adjust, and if you're outside, the lens will adjust as well. Certain things like that I think will help a lot of us in the long run. And speaking of the long run, the third issue again was the battery life, which I think these will also coincide with as well. Because if you can adjust the brightness, for example, of the holographic imaging that you're seeing, depending on whatever application you're using, if you can adjust that just like you would on a cell phone, then you can increase the battery life. And if you can increase the battery life, then that's more time to actually utilize whatever application you're utilizing on those lenses on your glasses. Really simple stuff, but I believe it's really effective in the long run. So the last thing that I took from his presentation is the future of metaverse. Not only the future of metaverse, but Metamaterial's involvement in that future. Now, actually, way before he spoke, I watched the introduction of AWE USA Expo. And if you guys watched the intro, it was super corny. It was a little difficult to watch, but you know, it is what it is. They tried, so it's all good. One of the things that they mentioned is that they believe that by 2030, the metaverse and the technology behind the metaverse will have a $1 trillion value. So that means any company involved, whether it's the direct technology or the science behind that direct technology, it should make a decent amount of money based off what they're doing. Getting more specific with augmented reality eyewear, Jonathan Waldron believes that that specific market within the metaverse could eventually soon enough have a $1.5 billion market. Definitely giving a lot of opportunity for companies that are making those type of technologies to make a lot of money, which gives a lot of investors such as myself and potentially you that invest in companies like Metamaterials more time for hope to make more money with the stocks you invested to in the long run. But I think this is the part where a lot of short-term investors kind of went away and maybe has some negative things to say. Maybe not, totally could be wrong. But one of the things that he mentioned based off a question that someone asked him towards the end is when time-wise does Metamaterials plan on releasing their ARFusion lens-related glasses? And Jonathan basically said that he doesn't believe that they will be releasing even the prototypes for another 2 years. Yeah, in a general idea, that sucks. You would hope that they would use a platform like that to unveil, hey, we have these new lenses that not only were a thought, but is an actual product that we'll be releasing next week. Some news like that would obviously help the stock price go up immediately, but I'm personally okay with the idea of it being a 2-year process. It gives me more ammunition to believe that this is a long-term hold to begin with, and they have the technology, but you have to perfect the technology. You have to perfect the manufacturing of the technology, whether it's what you do in-house or the acquisitions you make with companies like Covestro and other companies like Nanotech. And again, as I mentioned in the previous video where I talked about Facebook's name change, They are a company that is one of the biggest companies in the entire world, market cap value wise and just in general. And even they are at the very beginning of the technology that could change our world and create what we know as the metaverse. Something that people may argue that's currently already out, but they can make a huge handprint in that. But again, they even admitted that there's a lot of time behind it. So of course, it made me a lot more patient on companies like Metamaterials. And I think what Jonathan Waldron had to say definitely added to that. At the end of the day, this was nothing more than evidence on why I personally feel like Metamaterials is going to be an amazing company to hold on to in the future. And something 10 years from now, I'm going to be really thankful that I actually bought and I held and bought some more. But this video doesn't tell you enough. Make sure you watch this video where I give you guys some reasons on why I really feel like Metamaterials is a long-term hold. But I do appreciate you guys watching this video. And until next time, take care.